What is up, wrestling fans? We are live from the ODPH podcast dungeon for Nerd Initiative Wrestling. That's right, hashtag NI Wrestling, and it is time for us to talk about what we just watched. It is time for the live post-show recap for AEW's Worlds End. Of course, I am your host. I'm the host of the 3FM podcast, but more importantly, I am the head of NI Wrestling. My name is Rich, and joining me in the co-pilot chair as he does each and every episode of Wrestling Night Live, not to mention a lot of these ventures as well. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the man that doesn't need an introduction, yet he has the longest introduction in my streaming world. He is the host of the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour podcast, better known as the ODPH. He is the host of Turn a Page every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Nerd Initiative YouTube channel. And of course, this week you really want to tune in because the Cheersy Awards are going down this Tuesday night, and you're going to want to see who won the best of 2023 for comics. And also, last but certainly not least, and it's the big title, he is the EIC, or EIC.
Yep, EIC.
That's right. The Nerd Initiative Comics Division. Excuse me, I am tired right now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Ken M.
I'm seeing the numbers in the chat. I'm seeing everybody chime in. Thank you so much for joining us on this very special edition of Nerd Initiative Wrestling. Get in the chat. Let's talk about AEW Worlds End.
And I'm going to say up front, and I apologize ahead of time, this was not intended before we even get into anything. I am wearing a CM Punk shirt, and that was not like meant to be like a shot or a, you know, kind of whatever towards anything. It was just what I had on today. And then I went at the end of this pay-per-view, I went, oh man, after we're going to have to talk about this, and people are going to think that I'm like some WWE homer. But if you've been listening to NI Wrestling enough, you know we call it right down the middle, and we're just fans of pro wrestling as a whole. So instantly, I want to apologize for that because I know somebody's going to be like, but the guy in the CM Punk shirt, he's obviously WWE. No, it's just World's End. I'm going to say this. I think this is the most polarizing AEW pay-per-view possibly ever. Possibly ever.
Yeah, this one, very mixed reactions online. That's why I say chat, super chat. Get in here. Let us know your thoughts on the card. Give us your grades. What was your match of the night? Let's talk about it. Yeah, there's a lot of reactions going on to the main event. A lot of feelings right now going around the fan community. So we definitely want to make sure we're talking with everybody about this.
Let's definitely talk, but let's get some business out of the way before we start up. Ken, ready?
Yep.
All right. So first and foremost, make sure you're visiting our good friends at nerdinitiative.com. It is the home of pop culture positivity. That means we accept everybody's opinions, just like here on this show, and we will talk through them. And trust me, if you have a fandom, you can find it at Nerd Initiative. And if it ain't there now, trust me, it will be in 2024. Also, because we're contractually obligated to talk about this, this is the merchandise option. If you would like to support Nerd Initiative, go ahead, buy something from the store. It is no pressure at all. Also, make sure you write in and tell them you want some NI Wrestling / Wrestling Night Live gear, because Wrestling Night Live comes to you every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those of you who might not be tuning in, start tuning in. It's a good, fun time. I also want to give a quick shout out. We had a great interview with Walker Stewart that we did the other day, and it will be being posted as the first thing on Nerd Initiative's YouTube in the new year. It will be going up midnight New Year's night.
Yes.
So if you guys want to check that out, check it out on New Year's Day. Great interview talking about Wrestle Kingdom and everything in between. He is the English voice, the velvet voice of professional wrestling, and it was a great interview. And we're looking to have him back on in the future.
Yes.
Also, on top of that, last but certainly not least, for those of you watching on the Nerd Initiative YouTube channel, or even if you're watching on the ODPH podcast channels, eventually, all this is just going to be under initiative. We are doing a lot of testing because of the Cheersies, and later the Brodies, which we will be talking about just in a little bit. We'll say that for the end of the show. There's a little tease there, but we have some homework for you. Go ahead and smash that subscribe button over at the Nerd Initiative YouTube channel. Click the bell icon for notifications, and last but certainly not least, go ahead and hit that thumbs up just to let our bosses know that we want to. More wrestling products. All right, now that we got the business out of the way, let's talk some AEW, and let's talk about World's End. And we're going to start with the opening contest of the evening for the 0 hour, and that would be Willow Nightingale taking on Chris Statlander. This match got 13 minutes, 25 seconds. At the end of the day, Willow Nightingale would pick up the victory via pinfall over Chris Statlander. I'm going to tell you what, as far as a pace setter in the beginning of the night, and I love both of these women. I think the world of both of them. For some reason, I feel like they were just off tonight.
Agreed.
Like, I feel like when one was supposed to go right, The other one went left. When they were supposed to go left, they went right. I didn't feel the normal chemistry between the two. And off nights happen. So it's not like I'm crucifying anybody for this. But I definitely think that was an issue. I don't know. What were your thoughts on the first 0-hour match between Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander?
Not the best way to open up the card. I thought timing was off throughout the match. This was not the best night for both competitors. So, I hate starting off a show like that and hate being super critical, but it is what it is. It was an off night. I'm sure if this match was done 100 times, it'd be a million times better every time around. Just this wasn't the night.
Yeah, if you did this match, honestly, if you did this match 100 times, I guarantee you that out of 100 times, you would get 98% of the time. 98 times it's going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. I just think they had an off night, and it was what it was. There's something that just wasn't, cooking, if you will.
Yeah.
Next up, we had the 20-man over-the-top battle royal for a future AEW TNT championship shot, and they were doing it, in lack of a better term, for Money in the Bank rules, which means if you won, you could cash in at any time. And they had some interesting eliminations. Serpentico, Dalton Castle, Johnny TV, Lee Johnson, Angelo Parker, Alex Reynolds, John Silver, Kip Saban, Brian Keith, Matt Menard, Christopher Daniels, Rocky Romero, Darius Martin, Action Andretti, The Blade, The Butcher, The Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer, Danhausen, and Trent Beretta. But at the end of the day, the winner was Kill Switch by eliminating Trent Beretta. And so he won the contract for the future TNT Championship match. This match was 13 minutes, 50 seconds long. What did you think of Battle Royal? I mean, it was a normal Battle Royal for me. Guys going in, guys going out.
Normal battle royal, but once it was Kill Switch, it was very predictable what was going to happen.
Oh, yeah. The writing was on the wall for later in the night, and we will definitely get to that.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it would have been Danhausen. I think that they missed an opportunity. Danhausen was over with the crowd. This was a crowd, and I'm going to be honest. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe it came across bad on TV. Maybe the production. I'm not blaming anybody, but I am saying that the crowd was kind of off.
Yeah, it definitely was not coming across to us watching and paying for the pay-per-view as a very loud or enthusiastic crowd. It was very meh.
Well, they were when MJF came out.
Yeah, when MJF came out, so same with Eddie Kingston. But
yeah.
Other than that, very quiet, very subdued, I guess.
The hometown guys definitely got the hometown pop, which I'm fine with. Mm-hmm. The one hometown guy that got a lesser of the pops, though, unfortunately, was Hook. And next up was the FTW rules match for the FTW Championship. Your champion, Hook, taking on the ROH Pure Wrestling champion, Wheeler Yuta. And this match got 10 minutes, 20 seconds at the end of the day. And your winner, and still FTW champion, Hook. I want to throw this out to you, Ken. First thing that instantly was like, was they gave Wheeler Yuta mic time.
Yeah.
Listen, I think the world of Wheeler Yuta in the ring. Mm-hmm. He is a great wrestler. He is not a great talker.
No.
He is not a great talker. I think we can all agree on that. We've said this before. It is like watching paint dry sometimes. And that is no offense to Wheeler Yuta, because in the ring,
he can go.
He's one of the best guys in the ring. He's one of the best young dudes doing it right now inside the ropes. And it was the same in this match. I enjoyed this match, actually. Mm-hmm. This is one of the matches of the night where I was like, wow, I'm very impressed. I know this was a hardcore rules match, FTW rules, basically hardcore rules. We got to see some trash cans. We got to see some trash can lid shot that Hook took that was
brutal.
Whoa. And at the end of the day, I dug what I saw in this match. We ended the match, of course, with the Taz mission. Mm-hmm. No surprise there. And I'm fine with that. I thought this was a good match between two guys. I would like to see this match ran back only under Pure Wrestling rules.
Yes.
For the ROH Pure Championship. I think that's the next step, in my opinion.
Is what should happen. I mean, this is a great feud to build off of and go somewhere with, but I think at the end of the day, like, this match, it just kind of started off very sluggish. It did pick up in spots here and there, but yeah, I'd love to see Hook do something else other than the FTW belt. I think they should get rid of that belt, merge it with the Pure title, or just get rid of it entirely and let Hook do something else.
I liked it. I thought Hook was doing a great job. Of course, paying homage to Long Island, where he's from, by wearing Long Island Islanders, or New York Islanders, sorry.
Yeah.
Gear, if you will. All right, we're going to kick off the main card now. It's time First match of the night was the All-Star 8-man tag team extravaganza. And of course, these were all people who were in the Continental Classic. The team of the Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli and Bryan Danielson, with their partners Mark Briscoe and of course Daniel Garcia, would defeat the team of Brody King, Switchblade Jay White, Jay Lethal, and Roosh. This match got 17 minutes, 50 seconds. I think it went a little long for my liking, but there was things that I loved in this match. I.e., I'm not always a big fan of Daddy Magic, but I did dig Daddy Magic getting into it with Brody King. I just wish the camera guys would have saw at the end of the match, or, we got to see it on replay, but I wish they would have gotten live when Brody Lee punched him in the side of the head when he wasn't looking. I thought that was good storytelling. I dug it. I don't know why we didn't get that, but throughout the match, I thought we got some pretty interesting matchups. There was a lot of storytelling between Bryan Danielson, that was a Freudian slip, and Daniel Garcia. That's why I messed it up, because the two names.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that this match was very serviceable for an opening contest.
It did what it needed to do. Like I say, it just kind of felt a little awkward because they really try and make the story about Daniel Garcia. And then what was going on with Brody King and Daddy Magic on the outside was entertaining. But then again, we didn't see when Brody punched him out at the end of the match.
I wish we would have. And if we did, I bet you would have. I mean, we got to see the replay of it.
Yeah.
But if we got to see it live, I think it would have made a little more impact. I do like the fact that Daniel Garcia got the win in this match.
Oh, I do too.
And by the way, how awesome is Mark Briscoe?
Yeah.
Not just as a wrestler, but as a human being. The fact that at the end of the match, like, he let the joy of just being a wrestler overtake him, which I love that Mark does. Came in, gave Daniel Garcia a quick hug, did the little dance with Daniel Garcia. And of course, then we went back into storytelling with the stare down between Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia. And I'm fine with that. I hope that this upcoming year, being the last year of Bryan Danielson, we know that. We know he's retiring by the end of the year, of 2024, that is. I hope that we really start moving forward with possibly the next generation of the American Dragon being Daniel Garcia.
It would be nice to see this actually metamorphosize for Daniel Garcia. He's a great in-ring talent. The dancing gimmick, I think, has ran its course, and I'd love to see him kind of progress in that way.
And I want to point this out. I know there's some people who still love the dancing gimmick, but at times I really feel like it's one of those cases of, are they laughing at him or laughing with him?
Yeah.
And a lot of times I feel like it's a laughing at him situation. But when he goes in between the ropes, it's great. I mean, he went in there and Shibata gave him the thumbs up. You know what I mean? That's a big deal. Shibata is a huge wrestling, he's like a guru of wrestling. And the fact that Bryan Danielson's taking the time to build this kid, I think that we can go some really cool places with Daniel Garcia, hopefully in this new year. And I'm not just saying that because he's from Buffalo, New York, and we're New Yorkers as well. I thought the world of this kid, when he was on the Indies. I think the world of him now. But great match. I think it could have cut 4 minutes. It's kind of like one of those. I know Steph DeLander today put out a little thing where she basically was like, independent wrestling could benefit from cutting 4 minutes from every match.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, she's right on the money. And this is one of those, if you cut 4 minutes, I still think it would have been exciting. But once again, it's not like it was egregious.
No, it didn't really take too much away. But yeah, I do agree. If it was just a little shorter, I think it would really tighten up the story.
But once again, still one of the better matches of the night, in my opinion. Next up, though, we had a match that nobody really wanted, let's be honest. Andrade El Idolo versus Miro. This match got 14 minutes, 45 seconds. At the end of the day, winner by submission, Miro, for a bunch of different reasons. For one, if you watch the pre-show here that me and you did, Ken, we and I mean it, listen, it's not because we're soothsayers, it was just the writing was on the wall. CJ Perry helped her husband win the match.
Yeah.
She turned on Andrade El Idolo. We said it was going to happen. Once again, it's not because we're soothsayers. It's because you just start reading what's going to happen, and that's what's going to happen. And that's what happened. And this match wasn't bad, but there was some clunky spots in it. And I think to get to the end, they did a lot of clunkiness, if that makes sense. Although, if you want to believe what you're believing, this was Andrade's last match, allegedly, in AEW. So maybe he was phoning it in a little bit. I don't know. I wouldn't say that. I don't think he was. I thought it was fine. I just didn't think it was that next level. But then again, nobody was truly invested in Miro versus Andrade anyways. Unless I'm wrong. Was there people invested? Chat, let me know. Even if you're not watching live, if you're watching on replay, throw a comment there. Were you invested in this match?
The problem here is this match was solely for the Collision audience. And you did not really see a build-up on Dynamite nor Rampage, in my opinion.
I agree.
So when you're trying to sell this to the entire AEW fan base, a lot of fans are not watching Collision in comparison to Dynamite. Like, you can do
More
the math
people
numbers.
are watching Dynamite,
Right.
absolutely.
So
it's the
if
flagship.
So if they're not fully invested in it, it's going to come off flat. And this is where I think, unfortunately, it did for the night. It was a solid match for what it was, but it wasn't anything I got wow like at the end of it.
Agreed. Like I said, it did what it needed to do, but I just think that it failed to get the house crowd wasn't into it. It didn't feel like, and I don't know if anybody really at home was clamoring for it. And once again, this is not a shot at the gentleman in the ring. I think they did just fine. It's just sometimes when there's no hype, it is what it is. Then there's too much hype. There's times where there's too much hype. There's a perfect sweet spot. It doesn't always get hit. It's not going to always get hit. We recognize that as wrestling fans. Let's go on to the first title match of the night. The first on the main card, I should say, for the AEW Women's Championship. Women's World Championship. The timeless one, Toni Storm, your champion with Luthor in her corner. You get one-on-one with the first ever AEW Women's World Champion, Riho. This match, Ken M, got 11 minutes, 40 seconds at the end of the day, and still your AEW Women's World Champion, timeless Toni Storm. This match was fine. This match was what we expected. You have a great wrestler in Toni Storm. You have a great wrestler in Riho. I know that we were very critical, and I know other people out there were very critical about the fact that even though Riho is really good, there feels like times that they just plug and play her and not really give any sustenance to the story. And I felt like this was one of those times. But like we said on the pre-show, when it comes to game time, they're going to both deliver. And they did. The thing that was really weird was at the end of the match, Toni Storm pretty much wins clean, if you will, as clean as a Toni Storm will win.
For the most part, yeah.
For as much as she can, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the match, Mariah May came down with a bucket full of rose petals and was throwing them in the ring. And they left the shot too long. And it was almost like, well, is Mariah going to crack her with the bucket? Are we going to get the return of Jamie Hayter possibly? Are we going to get the return of somebody else, the next challenger? And when nothing happened and it stayed on the ring so long, it's just like, that was either a tease to get people to think it, or it was just a waste of production time, in my opinion. So that's my only real complaint. The match itself was great. I thought that the two women did a good job, and I thought that it was entertaining. Your thoughts?
I thought it was solid for what it was, but I do agree with it. I thought the production, but that was the whole thing the entire night, in my opinion, was off because it kept teasing something was going to happen at the end. And either Mariah was going to turn or Jamie Hayter or somebody else was going to come running in the ring. It didn't happen. So it was just kind of an awkward way to end it. But the match itself was fine. Like, you knew in Riho and Toni Storm, they're going to put on a great performance. That's what we got, but it just kind of left a little something more to be desired.
Agreed. Well, let's move right along to the next matchup, and that would be the first of our changed matchups, and that would be the Natural, Dustin Rhodes, taking on Swerve Strickland. That's right. Originally, this was supposed to be Keith Lee versus Swerve Strickland. Unfortunately, Keith Lee went to Twitter and said, hey, I've been dealing with an injury since Grand Slam. It got a little worse at Final Battle. I'm going to try to push through the night. And then we found out that he was not cleared by AEW Medical. So therefore, they switched in his tag team partner, the Natural Dustin Rhodes. And before, we'll just go over the match real quick. The match got 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Your winner, Swerve Strickland. But there's some issues I have.
Yeah.
Firstly, and no offense to Dustin Rhodes, who's a Hall of Famer. But out of everybody on the roster you have, out of every star you could pick, everybody that you could possibly go through, Dustin Rhodes was the pick? Like, we couldn't have picked a better replacement? Like, usually when you replace, it's always called replace with value. And I don't know if Dustin Rhodes was value. Not shooting on him. It's just, like, he's not in the prime of his career anymore. Like, and Swerve Strickland is like one of your hottest properties. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. The biggest problem that was here is, okay, if Keith Lee wasn't cleared, there really wasn't a big storyline here to begin with other than the history, and they were tapping back into it with Swerve and Keith Lee. So when you take him out of the equation, there really is no tie. I know that you had the Naturally Limitless tag team, but there really isn't like a storyline with Dustin and Swerve. No. So you would have to come up with somebody else, and with that roster, it's like, I hate saying it, but it's like you'd have to either cancel the match, and what they should have done, and I thought they were going to do with the Cinder Block, is, okay, write it off, and then just whenever Keith Lee is cleared, then you do the match. There's a little more story to be added to it. Okay, fine.
Well,
that
let's
way.
talk about this. Before the match even started, Swerve jumps Dustin, beats him down pretty good, and the culmination of this is they pull Prince Nana and Swerve, sorry, pronouns, pull a cinder block from under the ring, put Dustin's ankle on it, and from the ring apron to the floor, Swerve does the stomp, breaks the cinder block underneath his ankle. So obviously, broken ankle, right?
Yeah.
But somehow we do the Willis Reed, which is famous in wrestling now for some reason, and he goes to the ring. But the problem is you just heard me. This happened before the match. It's 5 minutes of this, and then we have a 9-minute and 30-second match where at times in the match, as good as Dustin is, he forgot to sell the leg injury. I mean, he even was using it to kick Swerve at one point.
Yeah,
and it's like, I get it, and this is what the problem we had with the main event of the last pay-per-view. You have an injured angle with an injured champion with a very, think about it, international star like Jay White. But this match goes 30 minutes when you guys got a champion with one leg and one arm.
Yeah.
And here we go. We have a guy who's filling in, who is essentially on one leg, and we make this, a competitive match? Like, why? This should have just been a squash. And like you said, for the reason of when Keith Lee's healthy, this adds to the story of Keith Lee versus Swerve Strickland. Like, there was no value, in my opinion, and I might be wrong, but there was no value, I don't think, in just having Dustin Rhodes look like he was Supermaning this and making it look like Swerve's offense and attacking him in the beginning of the match was irrelevant.
The only thing, and I'm just throwing this out there, is unless this was Dustin's last match, and they're deciding to give him one final moment on pay-per-view.
But then again, I would have announced that for this case.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like there's so much mystery with this about why they made it happen.
Or maybe not do the injury angle.
Well, if you're going to do the match straight up. But you did the injury angle, so the fact he's using his broken foot to do a nut kick and run to do a destroyer. I understand that wrestling is what wrestling is, but come on. Like, this is blatantly just unbelievable.
There's suspending disbelief, and then there's going the extra mile. And this is a problem I've had with AEW for a while, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and maybe people don't agree with me, maybe you do, let me know. There is a problem with them always feeling things have to be competitive. And guess what? There is a time for a squash match.
Yeah.
When you have the hottest property in your company, I would argue, and Swerve Strickland. If he's not the hottest, he's top 5. We have to agree on that.
Easily.
Right? So when you have the hottest product possibly in your company, if not the top 5, and he goes into a match with a guy who, let's face it, no disrespect to a Hall of Famer and a legend in Dustin Rhodes, but he is past his prime. If you're going to do anything in this match, it should be the fodder for the Keith Lee Swerve Strickland story, right?
Agreed.
So you just need to do a squash match. Have him destroy the ankle. Maybe have Dustin go, I'm going to will myself in, and then make the match 2 minutes long, if that, of just Swerve. Like, Dustin tries to get some offense in, he gets cut off real quick, boom, end of the match. And then you can have Swerve mock him and whatever you want to do to then lead to Keith Lee versus Swerve Strickland when Keith Lee's healthy again.
Yeah.
I just think that is something that's happened in AEW time and time again. Like we pointed out, the Jay White versus MJF main event. We don't need to tell that story when you're going to have a competitive match. It just is weird. It makes the guy in the ring look less than. And there was reports that after that match, Jay White was not happy. But it is what it is. And I get it. You get paid to do a job. And they were trying to do the best they could with the last minute pullout. But once again, there's so much great talent in that company. You could have put anybody in that match. Orange Cassidy wasn't wrestling. That would have been a perfect opportunity for Orange Cassidy to go, hey, I'm a fighting champion. I don't have a match on this card. He was in the building because they did a promo spot with Dante Martin to set up for Dynamite. So why did they just go, hey, I got an idea. Impromptu international title match and have Swerve win the belt. Because here's the thing. The fans are waiting on bated breath for Swerve to take the next step. And you're taking a forever on it. And now a heel Swerve, even though the crowd is behind him, he's still technically a heel. And you have a new heel world champion. We'll get to that in a minute.
See what they should have done? The perfect opponent tonight would have been Wardlow.
Right, but he was pretending he was in England.
Right.
We'll get to that at the end of the night.
Yeah, but that would have been perfect to do.
I'm saying pretending because we'll get to it at the end of the night. Yeah. We're not going to jump ahead here. Let's go on to the next match, which, before we talk about this match, before you even put the graphic up, I want to make a disclaimer. We are here to just talk about AEW's Worlds End pay-per-view. We're not here to talk about anything else that's happening in the wrestling world. We save that for Wrestling Night Live and other junctures. With that being said, with things that are going on in the wrestling world, I can tell you right now that I agree with Ken M. Until we know further, we always reserve judgment, but we also side with victims' rights. So therefore, I'm not going to make a public statement here about it, but just know that we know what's floating around on the internet. I just want to save it because there's going to be a lot of controversial stuff in here.
Yeah.
We will mention that the crowd was chanting. Actually, we'll just say it up front. There was a lot of chanting from the crowd of different things like NDA. Kylie Ray was chanted for reasons. Once again, we may dive into it further on this week's Wrestling Night Live, only because letting the story play out.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear people go, why didn't you touch on it? Well, we're not touching on it because we're letting the story play out, but trust me, it is a disgusting, disturbing revelation. So I just want to get that out of the way. So the next matchup was the 8-man tag team match, and it was Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Sting, and Darby Allin against Ricky Starks and Big Bill, your AEW World Tag Team Champions, and the Don Callis family team of Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs. This match got 15 minutes, 40 seconds. At the end of the day, Sting's team won. The Stinger got a great send-off in New York. This is going to be his next to last match. And I'm going to pretty much leave it at that. This match kind of had some sloppy moments in it, to nobody's faults per se. There was some moments that, like, again, not touching on some things. There was some moments shouted out by teammates of a certain somebody. And yeah, you got something for it.
This match happened, and then it was over. Like, honestly, this really didn't do anything for me. Darby took a lot of crazy bumps again. At one point, he took a German suplex and fell right on his head from Takeshita, and I literally thought he broke his neck. Like, that was the only thing I really took away from this match. But Sting, for being his final time at Nassau Coliseum, he had a great moment with the fans. I mean, running into the crowd talking to Vladimir.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool.
Super fan Vlad was there. Sting, after the match, went over, gave him a big hug. So I thought that was nice. I did love the send-off for Sting. They gave him a good send-off at Nassau Coliseum. Of course, he's on that final tour ending in March at Revolution. So we are going to, definitely keep our eyes on Sting because we like Sting. All right, Ken, let's move right along to the next match, which was for the AEW TBS Championship, and it was fought under house rules. Your champion, Julia Hart, defending against Abaddon. And of course, this match got 11 minutes, 35 seconds at the end of the day, and still your AEW TBS champion, Julia Hart. Let me throw this out there. This match got a first of a kind chant, and I loved it, and it was on point. It got a "This is spooky" chant. This match, it delivered in some fashions, and it didn't deliver in others. I'm going to personally admit that I've never really gotten Abaddon's gimmick.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of Julia Hart. With that being said, I think that both of these women nailed it as far as the athleticism and the competitiveness of this match. I like the fact that it was under house rules. So therefore, there was no rope breaks. There was technically no DQ. And they kept it good. I mean, there was a brutal moment in this match where Julia Hart used Abaddon's head like a basketball off the stairs about 10 or 15 times. You know what I mean? Just throwing that out there. But at the end of the day, I thought that Julia Hart did her thing. And Abaddon, she went up in the ranks in my book. I mean, I might not understand the gimmick, but I think she's good in the ring.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like the zombie kind of gimmick. And I will say, this is the first time I think she's been on a pay-per-view.
To my knowledge.
To my knowledge, and I thought she did very well. I thought her and Julia had a great match, to be honest with you. Might have been up there in my top 3 of the night. So I thought for the time they were given, they did tell a great story. Julia Hart was, obviously building her title reign up, and this is a great feud that they want to run it back. I'd have no problem with.
Absolutely. I think Abaddon definitely raised her stock. I'd like to see more of Abaddon. And for Julia Hart, she's had a hell of a year.
Oh, absolutely.
Hell of a year. Of course, Sky Blue did get involved as well, but she got neutralized pretty quickly by Abaddon. So that was pretty cool to see as well. All right. This is a match that I know everybody was clamoring about. No disqualification match for the TNT Championship match. Of course, this match was between your champion, the leader of the patriarchy, Christian Cage. Of course, he came with his stepson, the prodigy Nick Wayne, and his mother, Shayna Wayne. And he took on one of his best friends in the whole wide world, Adam Copeland. This match, ladies and gentlemen, got 25 minutes even.
Really?
And at the end of the day, and your new TNT champion, Adam Copeland. But hold the phone. After the match, Killswitch came out, destroyed Adam Copeland, and then what we all knew was going to happen happened.
Mm-hmm.
He handed that contract, after some pleading, handed that contract over to Christian Cage. Christian Cage invoked the title shot earned by Killswitch on the pre-show, and 11 seconds later was your new and two-time AEW TNT champion. So Christian Cage walked in with the belt, lost the belt, regained the belt, making Adam Copeland the shortest reigning champion in the history of All Elite Wrestling. Thoughts on this? Well, I'm going to give this way. Thoughts on the first part of the match. I love the no DQ parts of the match. They told a perfect story. Adam Copeland having to fight off Nick Wayne, having to get past the distractions of Shayna Wayne. You know, all that happening was good. They had some good violence in the match.
Mm-hmm.
There was ladders. There was chairs. There was tables. Oh, my.
Yes.
There was even a flaming table that Nick Wayne somewhat skimmed across. I bet you he wished he went through it because it looked like that hurt a little bit.
Yes.
But anyways, at the end of the day, this match was what we all thought it was going to be. It was violent in a good way, and it was a grudge match. And when Adam Copeland won the match, because it looked like Christian was going to steal it, Adam Copeland wins it. We're like, oh, great. Although, I will say this, when Killswitch came out after the end and he was standing behind Adam Copeland, this is why Adam Copeland's a Hall of Famer, ladies and gentlemen. The look on Adam Copeland's face when he felt the presence, he never turned around, but he went from like elation to, oh, he's behind me, isn't he? Like his face changed to that and then he got attacked.
Yeah.
And then once the cash-in happened, we were just like, they telegraphed the hell out of this.
Yes.
This is why I didn't like Killswitch winning. We knew this was going to happen. I wish they would have at least waited until Dynamite, but I get it. They wanted to piss people off and it worked, but I just thought that this was just really telegraphed. It was a terrible spot for a dusty finish.
Oh, fully agree. Fully agree. But that was the problem that we knew when Killswitch won the Battle Royal. I knew this was going to happen. It took away from a great match and was like, why did we even waste the time? Like if they waited to do this and on Dynamite or even Collision, I would have been fine with it. But no, this completely wasted a great match.
And if you're going to eventually bring back Jack Perry, it would have been a good spot here because you could have brought him back, snapped, maybe Christian was trying to get the contract. Jack Perry comes out, tries to bring, Luchasaurus back. And maybe that's how we end this. And it might lead to a good story where you have, Christian Cage goes out and gets another big heater. And then you have Copeland and the Jungle Express.
Yeah. Would have made a lot more sense to do it.
I don't know. Yeah. Once again, I don't know when Jack Perry's coming back either. So
that's true. That's a whole different ball of wax there.
Yep. All right, let's move right along to the first of the two last matches. And man, I got to say, I love this match, Ken. I love this match. It was the finals for the Continental Classic. Of course, the American Triple Crown, as they're calling it, was on the line. That would be the Ring of Honor World Championship, the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship, and the inaugural AEW Continental Championship. And of course, the finals would be between Eddie Kingston, who coming into this match technically was still the Ring of Honor World Champion and the NJPW Strong Openweight Champion. And of course, BCC member Jon Moxley. This match got 17 minutes, 20 seconds at the end of the day. And your first ever Continental Classic winner and your first winner of the American Triple Crown, Eddie Kingston. Ladies and gentlemen, they pulled it off. I'm happy that the story happened. And this is one of those times, there's times in life as a wrestling fan where we're like, well, we expected that to happen. Like we just talked about with Killswitch and Christian, right?
Yep.
And we're like, why? But then there's times when we knew it was going to happen and we rejoice. And because of who Eddie Kingston is, the connection with the fans, the fact that, he is literally, this is his lifelong dream in a lot of ways, growing up as a All Japan fan, watching the Triple Crown. They have an American Triple Crown. He's got two of the belts that he put on the line for this to actually happen. And then to see him go down 0-2 right away and then have to win every match, including defeating the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, in the finals of the Blue League. to then face his friend, somebody who they came up together, that they have a kinship. And yeah, there's been rocky stuff in it, but at the end of the day, they know each other. And to have that match go down, and the fact that they did it in a beautiful strike fest. Like, there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, wrestling and the strikes don't look real anymore. I know that was a complaint a couple weeks ago on the internet. I dare you to watch this match and say the strikes didn't look real.
Looked amazing.
And they had some great strike exchange. They had some great submission exchanges. They had some great moments of just real strong style. Moxley definitely put it out there, but so did an Eddie. And at the end of the day, to see Eddie win, and then at the end of the match, Moxley coming over, smacking him on the side and just giving him a hug. They didn't even do the tease of like, will they or won't they? Moxley was just so happy for his friend. They had an emotional moment, and then Moxley gave him the ring.
Yep.
Said, here you go. This is your moment, kid. I'm going to powder off. It was awesome, man. It was awesome. And even with American Dragon on the commentary, kind of rooting for, saying he was going to call it down the middle, but rooting for Moxley, which is fine.
Yep.
You know, even he at the end of the match had to own it up and say, you know what? He earned it. I dug it. I thought that this was a really good storytelling match. It was my favorite match of the evening.
Oh, easily. This was my match of the night, too. The story was there. Eddie Kingston, how can you not get behind him? The heart and soul of AEW, in my opinion. And the strike fest that was going on between him and Moxley, they told a beautifully violent story. It made sense. It paid off. Eddie Kingston has raised the stock in the company so much. Seeing him win in front of his hometown crowd, perfect way to end his story.
Absolutely. There's only one left. That's the main event of the evening, Ken. For the AEW Worlds Championship, your champion, MJF Maxwell Jacob Freeman, the hometown guy, defending against the Samoan Submission Machine, Samoa Joe. Ken, this match got 17 minutes, 50 seconds, and at the end of the day, via technical submission, via pass out by the Coquina Clutch, your new All Elite Wrestling World's Heavyweight Champion, Samoa Joe, to the shock of everybody. Let me just say this about this match. Let's go through this kind of the match. We'll talk about the post-match in a second, all right?
Yep.
So first of all, Adam Cole would join MJF to be in his corner for this match. MJF would pull out all the stops for the Samoa Joe match. And this, when we talked earlier about Dustin Rhodes not selling sometimes on the leg, MJF did a great job of selling the arm injury.
Yeah.
Throughout this match, he did different tricks to kind of compensate for the arm. You know, he overcame it, but when he overcame it, you could tell because then he would go back to selling it really hard. Like, oh my God, my arm is hurting. I mean, he even went as far as using his wrist tape to try to use it for the Salt of the Earth arm bar so he didn't have to use that arm. Whenever he locked something in, he would use his good arm, his right arm, to hold the left so that way he wasn't putting pressure on the left. I thought the little things that MJF did in this match were phenomenal. Samoa Joe, though, I love Samoa Joe as that big bruiser, that killer, if you will. And that's what he was in this match.
Yes.
He did exactly what he needed. There was a muscle buster on that ring apron.
It looked absolutely terrifying.
Oh my God. This was a great match. And in my opinion, from the time of the match until almost the finish, I thought this match was phenomenal. It told a beautiful story. You're kind of waiting in the background. You're like, is Cole the devil? Is Cole going to turn on him during the match and cost MJF the match? Or is he going to help MJF win and then reveal himself? Because now MJF is super weakened. You know, there's a lot of things going on. Is Swerve, like you thought, was the devil? Is Tony Khan, who's the devil? And when are they going to come into play? I mean, the ref got bumped.
Yep.
And we were like, oh no, here it comes. But no, instead it led to a great low blow by the champ. And then he gave Samoa Joe an F5.
Yeah.
The referee didn't come to in time,
Insane.
so MJF did not get the 3 count. And then he goes to get the referee's still out of it, so he goes to get the diamond ring from Adam Cole. Adam Cole gives him the diamond ring, but that's what opened the door for Samoa Joe to get the Coquina Clutch the first time. He gets out of it, but ends up back in the Coquina Clutch. Once he's got him down, once he gets the leg scrape fine, you and I both know it's over.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of got weird. I'm fine with how it ended, but there was this weird moment, and I don't know if they were, in hindsight, I don't know if like they were trying to sell the surprise of it or what, but there was a moment where it looked like MJF tapped. But then I had said to you, maybe he was just fixing something, and it just looked that way to us. And I'm like, okay, but then they did the arm test, 1, 2, 3. But when the arm hit the third time, Bryce Remsburg literally waits an extra I don't know, 10 seconds or so. Like it felt like an eternity, but it was a couple seconds. And then finally calls for the bell and just keeps calling for the bell, and the bell doesn't ring right away. So it almost felt like it wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, it felt like somebody missed their cue.
But I don't know if it was. I think it was just meant to be like, oh man, we're surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But, because the crowd started chanting bullshit. Let's just throw that out there. And because they're definitely behind their hometown guy. And Samoa Joe's the winner. And so just speaking on the match, I thought the match was very good.
The match was very good.
The ending was confusing, but very good.
Until the ending. Yeah, like I said, until the ending, things were fine. The muscle buster on the apron looked absolutely brutal. God. MJF being the MJF we know and love. The video intro to bring him to the ring, too. We have to give credit for that.
Oh, it was great.
That was amazing.
Especially the guy gets beat up by the guys. Because I'm not going to say that. And then the guys come over. Next thing you know, he's all beat up. He's like, he's our scumbag.
Yeah. Like I say, they had some fun moments to lead into it. But that ending just really took everything away because it just felt like something was off.
Yeah. And then to make it worse, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, Adam Cole gets in the ring. He's telling, you left it all in the ring. There's nothing more you could have done. You did great. Don't feel down on yourself. There's nothing more. Mm-hmm. And then the Devil's Masked Men come. And they grab, and at first we had, and I do appreciate they didn't do this, but at first you have Adam Cole with the crutch up and he's behind MJF, and I'm going, they're going to have him hit him with a crutch. Oh no. Mm-hmm. And thankfully that didn't happen. That the men two of them grab up Adam Cole. One of them grabs up Adam Cole, has him behind because of course he's injured. Two of them grab MJF, and one of them has a steel chair. Mm-hmm. And it looks like he's about to brain MJF, but then Adam Cole's like, no, hit me. And MJF's like, no, don't hit my friend. Just hit me. You want me, take me out. Don't do anything to him. He's hurt. Don't do anything. And, it's really nice friend moment. And then the lights go out. So then we're like, okay, we're going to find out who the devil is. When the lights come back on, who's sitting in the chair in the ring with the masked men, Ken M?
Adam Cole, baby.
Yep, it's Adam Cole the whole time. And the masked men reveal themselves. So your new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions are who, Ken?
The Kingdom, Matt Taven and Mike
Bennett. Of course, Roddy Strong and Wardlow, who was allegedly in London, according to his Twitter, is your fourth masked man. So there's 5 of the Devil's guys. And for the 4 that were masked were Wardlow, the Kingdom, and Roddy Strong. So it was what we thought it was from the jump and from the start. Mm-hmm. We were expecting a swerve, didn't get it, and I'm not upset about that. Here's what I have a problem with. So after the match, they destroy, MJF. Fine, right? You're going to destroy MJF.
Yeah.
Here's what I don't get. Why did you wait until he lost the title? And hear me out. So if the devil wanted to cost him the belt, and the storyline, if the devil is Adam Cole, correct me if I'm wrong, is that when Adam Cole got that first title shot and he didn't win, that is probably what set in the motions of faking being his friend. And this is when, remember, we talked about it before when we thought that they were setting up for him, and he had said in the beginning of the friendship to Roddy Strong, don't worry, I have this under control, I have a plan. So at that moment, when he befriended him, and then they went on to All In and all that jazz, right? Mm-hmm. And he lost again. Wouldn't the story, and correct me if I'm wrong, even at home, because this is how I'm making sense of this. Wouldn't the story be that Adam Cole was just mad that he couldn't beat MJF for the title, and he wanted to beat him for the title? Hence why he kept volunteering them to double defend. I mean, the injury kind of threw a wrench into it.
Sure.
Right? But he kept challenging to double defend the title. He kept making him be in matches. He had him trust Samoa Joe to only, obviously now we know, pay off Samoa Joe to hurt him more. Mm. And so wouldn't the thing that would have made sense was that he stopped and helped MJF win so then he could gully him into a fight right after and take advantage of the fact that he's weakened to win the title? Mm. And I understand he might not still be cleared to wrestle, and maybe they had to make the move because, January 1st is a real thing.
Yep.
Obviously, it's a real thing. And so I just don't understand why they didn't call an audible in the case that he wasn't ready. And I also don't understand how it makes sense to have him reveal himself after the title's gone. That's what I can't grasp my head around.
The only thing that makes sense to me, chat, super chat, make your voices heard here too. We got the question up there for you to jump in. This is very much like how AJ Styles was ousted from the Bullet Club right before he went to WWE. I think MJF is now gone. And I think that the way they did this is they take the belt off him, they give it to Samoa Joe, Joe can go do whatever he wants now. And then when Adam Cole is ready to come back, because as far as I could tell, he still was had the cast on the leg.
He didn't show that he could move around without the crutches and cast.
Right. So until he's ready to go, this new faction, if it's going to stay there, can start setting up things for Cole to eventually go for the title. But it doesn't make a lot of sense if you're going to plan on keeping this faction. You have a heel champion in Samoa Joe, and your arguably biggest face in the company is a heel in Swerve Strickland.
Right.
Like I say, there's just so
they're
many.
Heel heavy.
Yeah, they're way too heel heavy. And I'm sorry, Adam Page is not the top baby face in the company at the moment.
He could be easily, but they have to make the movements. And Kenny Omega when he comes back, but we don't know how long Kenny's gone for.
Right.
So you have a real situation here where you have no legit. Okay, so let's play the devil. See, I still believe in my heart of hearts, devil's advocate, right?
See what you did
I
there.
still believe in my heart of hearts that MJF is staying with AEW.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that it's very real that he didn't sign a deal because he does want the offer because he's a smart businessman and he wants the best offer money can buy. And WWE's going to offer him money, but for those people who are like, well, he hasn't talked to them yet, there's a reason why you have to wait till the contract's up. You can't talk to somebody under contract unless AEW gave him permission, because that would be called contract tampering.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't talk to him until the 1st of January because his contract is up at midnight on the 31st.
Right.
However, if they gave him permission to go seek that, which might have been the smarter judgment here, because you might have gotten the deal done already. Because I really feel what he's doing is a smart business move. He understands that wrestling isn't forever. Because if you talk to him, he loves wrestling. He would wrestle until he's 60 years old. But he also is smart enough when you hear him talk, going, "Hey, I know that my body eventually will break down. So, I'm in my prime. I need to make the most money possible."
Mm-hmm.
Smart man.
Yeah,
that's how you get the bag. Okay, and I don't blame him. So he's going to take an offer from WWE now. Does that mean he's guaranteed to come back? No. If the offer's too good, it's that Godfather philosophy.
Yeah.
Making him an offer he can't refuse, right? And if AEW doesn't want to match that offer, that's on them as well. But I don't feel like Tony Khan is going to let MJF go without a fight, at least. And by a fight, I mean he's going to make sure that price gets driven up. And I don't believe that WWE isn't going to let him just go back to AEW without driving the price up for Tony a little bit. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is competition in business, okay, on the business end of this deal. So, very smart. He's going to benefit from it. However, I still believe in my heart of hearts he returns. Now, with that being said, what's problematic here is now you have to create a faction for MJF to take on Adam Cole and his team. Now, I did mention when we were talking right after the show, FTR is a possibility because they buried the hatchet with MJF. But then you have to find a heater. Then you got to find a few other people. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of moving pieces, if that makes sense. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know. To me, I think what happened here, this is just my philosophy. And I'd like to hear your opinion, and everybody in chat, your opinion as well. If you're not watching live, you're watching on replay, please comment your opinion so I can read it later. I think what happened is that they came up to the January 1st date. Adam Cole wasn't healthy. They wanted to make Adam Cole still the devil. So they had to do something to get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So basically, and it's not a panic. I don't want you to think that Tony Khan and company panicked. They didn't. They just went, oh, well, there's a possibility that when he gets that offer, he goes. I still think, and in my heart of hearts, I still think that he's coming back to AEW.
Yeah.
But there is the possibility, right? And Tony Khan has to know that as a businessman. So therefore, you can't have him leave with your belt. And you also need to move the story forward. So you had to do what you had to do. Once again, like we said, this storyline has been snake bit from the beginning. They could have changed it. They could have done something different. We brought up some other points. I know the internet had some other points. But at the end of the day, obviously, they wanted to do it this way for a reason. And hopefully that will play out in the new year with or without MJF. Right? We're just going to have to wait to find out. And at this point in juncture, as I like to say, fans out there, and this is why I'm not, this is why I don't just go, oh, I'm, this guy or that guy. I love pro wrestling. I love New Japan. I love AEW. I love WWE. I love independent wrestling. I just am a wrestling fan. And that's why I'm always saying on this show to let it play out sometimes. Sometimes it's good to be got. We're wrestling fans. I look forward. I'm somebody who worked in the business, and I've been a lifelong fan. I love the moments where I get got.
Mm-hmm.
I live to be made a mark. Okay? That's what we should all enjoy. And then in the age of like getting information real quick and all of that happy jazz that we get now, I think that that art's gone for the most part. We've had some times.
Yeah.
CM Punk returning at Survivor Series is one of them. Where we all went, well, that's not going to happen. Or if it does, it's going to be later on. It doesn't look like it's going to happen in Chicago. We all resigned to that. And then they got us because they played the little graphic in the bottom with the copyright. We thought the show was over, but and you're just like, oh, great. Here it is. And it got all of us, right? They got us with Cody Rhodes. Because the day of WrestleMania, you still had Dave Meltzer going, I didn't think he hasn't signed anything.
Yeah.
And out comes Cody Rhodes to face Seth Rollins. And I'm not just saying the other side is the only side that gets us. We've been got by AEW before, too. And the thing of the matter is, I like getting got. So we'll find out. But I think it's a smart business move. What is your overall thoughts? I know you're a little more on the side that you think MJF is gone.
Yeah, I think he's gone. I think that this is how, like I say, I know AEW mirrors a lot of what New Japan Pro Wrestling does. I think this is the way to send him off. And unless they're going to build up another faction for him to come back and be the lead of, which, I mean, they could do. I mean, if I have to do a percentage on him gone, because, I love my percentages, I say he's 65% he's gone.
No. See, I'm a little more optimistic. I'm 60% he's staying.
Yeah, see.
I'm 40% because once again, if they offer him a deal he can't refuse, I get it.
But see,
but they're heavy in their scene right now. Like they don't I don't know where I would place him right now.
Well,
I mean, he's a great talent, don't get me wrong, but you think about it. At WrestleMania, we're already looking at, and I'm just saying speculation, you're looking at CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight title, and you're looking at Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the Universal title, right? So, where do you put him on the card?
See, I would this is my thinking about it, I should say. I know I'm kind of messing up my words, but it's late.
Yeah, it is late.
We're
almost at the end of this, too, so.
Bear with. The deal is we live in the Endeavor era. And Endeavor has shown that they are very cutthroat about signing major talent. They want to have all the big names under their umbrella. I would say, as crazy as it might sound, they might send him to NXT for a little bit.
I don't think that's where you put him.
But see, I wouldn't put him there, but I could see them trying to do something like that to bolster.
I don't think he takes that deal. If they're like, hey, we're going to bring you in, we're going to give you X amount of money, the dollars are right, but we're going to send you to NXT, I think he tells them to F off.
Well, see,
I quite honestly, because he's in the driver's seat.
Well, he's in the driver's seat, but if they throw him enough money to say, well, we're going to send you down there just till after Mania and then bring up and do something.
Still,
I could see something like that happening.
And it's not valuable. If you're going to bring him in, let's say they're going to bring him in, and they can bring him in January 1st, so they can bring him in on Raw. The tease of a champion, which most of us think is Andrade. But it could be, if it's not a WWE champion, it could be MJF.
Yeah.
It could be both. Right? There's a possibility both show up on Monday, right? Because there's no competes in AEW, unfortunately. So what could happen is on the 1st of January, he shows up. And the money is in it to go, oh, he's here. So you'd have he saves Cody, or he comes out to cut a promo with The Miz or whatever. Because you would want him. It's like that CM Punk moment. If you're going to do something like that to your competition, you want the mic drop moment. Think about it. Punk coming out at the end of Survivor Series to the shock of everybody. And everybody going, that's the moment. If you do that on NXT, everybody's going to go,
no.
Wow, they really think that he's just an NXT talent?
See, he comes out for the first week, though, on Raw, but goes down there for a quick second, then comes up. See, that's what I say. He does
never
the tour.
Agree to it. I'm telling you. I'm just saying, my opinion, he's never going to agree to it.
Well, no, but I'm saying just as a temporary thing, just as to kind of get everybody settled in place after Mania. But see, because that's the one thing. With him coming, yeah, he should be on the main roster. But I could see them, with especially that new deal coming with NXT, that they might try doing a surprise just for a quick run. I'm saying not permanent.
You know what you do? Actually, I answered my own question. You know what you do? First night, open challenge from Gunther. He comes out. He wins the Intercontinental title night one.
Oh.
And then you hit the ground running. Gunther goes on to do what he's going to do with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, presumably. And you have a new Intercontinental champion that you can go, hey, it's this guy. You know who he is. He's going to come out with the same name and the same music because AEW doesn't own it. Yeah. He does. He's going to come out. You're going to know who he is. Then he gets to be around Cody and Punk. If you're bringing him in, I think that's, you have to do it.
Well, see, I think eventually, he winds up there. That's why I say, like, I think they would play.
Cody said that.
Yeah. No, but I think they would play around like how they did with Jade Cargill when she first came there. Like, she'd go on the different shows. I think that's what MJF would do. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay. I mean, I'm just respectfully declining that just because of the fact that, unlike Jade Cargill, he's already a finished product.
Right.
You don't have to, he doesn't need training in NXT.
No, but I'm just saying just to get the star value and spread around the brands. That's what I'm saying. He does the tour around first.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing he'd agree to that. If you're the top guy in a company, you're not going to go, hey, you're going to come in and even for a few months until Mania, you're going to be in our
No, make the
brand.
rounds. Make the rounds.
I got you, but think about it. You have to sell him to sign the contract.
Yeah. Well, that's what I say. If he gets the main roster money and they just kind of does the tour.
Who knows?
We'll have to wait to see. That's what I'm saying.
I just think he would turn that down because why would you want to, even if it's just make the rounds, why would you go, hey, I was just main eventing a pay-per-view at a sold-out Nassau Coliseum.
Yeah, but if you do the rounds SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown, dip down for a week, come back up. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, kind of like Punk, say waving high, maybe.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's where I'm going.
Oh, I thought you were talking about having him go down there, work programs,
no,
work matches against guys, and be in NXT until after Mania.
Like a week. No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, maybe popping in as a
free
free
agent. With the late
agent.
night here, folks. It's been a long day.
All right. Because I was like, there's no way he's going to agree to being in NXT.
That's what I'm trying to say.
There's just no way.
That's what I'm trying to say. He makes the tour around and say you can go down there for a quick stop, then come up, go somewhere, does something, like kind of bounces around.
Like I said, I still believe he's going to be at AEW.
Yeah.
Well, I still believe he's going to stay there.
I'd love to see him stay in AEW
because I think I think that they need to offer him everything because at the moment he is their biggest baby. If he goes, you lose your biggest baby face.
Oh yeah,
and right now they're heel heavy. So
no, they can't afford to make they can't afford to let him leave. That's the problem with AEW. I just think that unfortunately how everything ended, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But if he wants to disappear, kind of play off the odds like he is gone and then come back, a la like how CM Punk did when he won the title and walked out. They could do something like that.
That's true. He's also been nursing some injuries and such. So good. We'll find out sooner than later.
Yeah.
All right. So overall, AEW had World's End. It was a pay-per-view. I don't know if it was their best. I don't know if it was their worst. I can tell you that I wasn't impressed with a lot of the matches on the card, but there was some good stuff to take home from it. So we'll see where they go. I kept using the word reset during the preview show. We're going to see where the Great Reset goes for AEW coming into the new year because obviously their first show being on Dynamite will be after the first of the year. And we're going to see where they hit the ground running. We know the next big pay-per-view, unless they add one, which they haven't yet, will be Revolution in March in Greensboro, North Carolina, to a sold-out building so far. I do believe it's going to be so. They've opened up more seating.
Yeah.
And, of course, that's Sting's last match, so there's no surprise that people want to be a part of that. And obviously the final tour of Sting is going to be awesome. I compared it to, as we're Yankee fans, I compared it to Derek Jeter's final tour, but insert your favorite player there. So I think we have a lot to look forward to in the new year for AEW. Final thoughts on World's End?
Not the best show in the world. If this is the way to end, it ends on a sour note with me. Sorry. Like I say, it's late and it's kind of just really warped my mind right now because I was expecting a lot more from this, and I was very disappointed in the show. Just being honest.
There you go. Well, join the chat. Let us know. Hit those comments if you are watching the replay, and let us know. We're gonna first, before I kick it over to talk about some announcement. Well, let's get the first announcement out of the way. So, going live right now is the 2023 Brody Awards, celebrating the best in pro wrestling. You see the graphic there. There's going to be a QR code. Is it already on the screen? We'll flash it. If not, it's up in the corner there. Vote now, vote often. There is nominated matches from those of us here at NI Wrestling. However, there is a write-in option. You can vote now, vote often. Of course, it is the year-end awards. We've named it after the late, great Brody Lee. I did get to work with Brody Lee and have a friendship with him when he was in Squared Circle Wrestling. So therefore, in honoring a friend, the Brody Awards were born 3 years ago, unfortunately, on his passing. So now that's what we call him from now on to award him. And Brody was, a class act on every level and was an amazing professional wrestler. We do not do worst of matches. We do not do anything that's slanderous towards anybody. It is literally celebrating the best in pro wrestling. So it was best match, best tag team, and there's a lot of options on there, and you can write them in. And once again, vote now, vote often, as we will be tallying them up because the ballots stop at January 15th at 11:59 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And then the award show will be on Wrestling Night Live on Thursday, January 18th. We will go through the entire ballots this week on Wrestling Night Live. But for now, if you want to get those early votes in, go on there, see who's the categories. And once again, if you have somebody else, and it doesn't matter if it's independent wrestling, it doesn't matter if it's New Japan, it doesn't matter AEW, WWE, whatever you want to vote for, write it in for the Brodies. Because everything counts. And if you can get enough stuff behind it, your stuff will win. I will tell you this, we will not accept anything that's slanderous in the voting polls. So we will look through. We're only taking the serious ones. So please remember, this is a positive award for giving positivity to the wrestling community. So please vote for your favorites in every category. And like I said, hit the link, fill out the form, and you can vote now and vote often from now until January 15th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, Ken M., tell the fine folks how to find yourself in the Ocho Duro Parlay podcast.
Very simple. Swing on over to odphpodcast.com, throwing up the QR code because we love our QR codes here at Nerd Initiative. And that'll take you to what's going on with me and the rest of the ODPH team going into a very, very big 2024.
If you would like to get a hold of me, go to 3fnpodcast.com. QR code is on the screen. You can find everything there. If you want to check out the 3FN podcast, it's about movie reviews, but of course we do wrestling here. And Wrestling Night Live comes to you every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Nerd Initiative YouTube channel. Or if you're watching on the Facebook channel, Twitch channel, X channel, Kick, whatever, you can watch us on those channels. I know right now some of you have been watching us on the ODPH channels. Once again, a lot of testing for the Cheersies to make sure it can handle being on multiple streams and not mess with our stuff.
Yeah.
So therefore, eventually it will just be back on the Nerd Initiative stuff only, just so you know. So you might want to make sure that you go click and subscribe and all that happy jazz. There's a nice little graphic that Ken's putting up right now. And it's, make sure you smash the subscribe button, click the bell notification so we can find out whenever we go live or videos. Because once again, we're putting up that Walker Stewart interview at midnight on New Year's Eve. And then, of course, tap that thumbs up so you can let the bosses know here that you want more wrestling content. I can promise you, wrestling content is on the way. I got a lot of stuff coming up and lined up since I know more, about that because I run that division. All right. So next up, I just want to make sure you guys know again to go to nerdinitiative.com. That's right. That is the place for pop culture positivity. We have everybody's fandom covered under one roof. And if it's not there, it will be there in 2024. And then contractually, I'm obligated to tell you about Nerd Initiative merchandise. You can visit the QR card if you want to. If not, you don't want to buy something, you don't have to. But it is supporting what we do here. And also let them know that you want Wrestling Night Live and NI wrestling stuff since we're trying to make those big waves and splashes. And last but certainly not least, I would like to mention Turn a Page coming up on Tuesday. It's every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, this Tuesday is a big effing deal. It is the Cheersies Awards. Ken, that is your baby. Pitch the Cheersies one last time.
Very simple. We are awarding the best and the best of comics for 2023. This is all fan voted. We had an amazing turnout this year. The thousands of votes that we got in have been all tallied up, and the winners are getting announced live on Nerd Initiative's YouTube and social streaming networks, along with ODPH. I believe Hops Geeks News is going to be airing theirs as well. It is going to be a place that if you want to find out what comics you should have in your collection, what creators to follow for the past year, that obviously have been putting in amazing work, this is going to be the place to go swing through. Got a lot of surprises lined up for it, so you definitely don't want to miss it when it airs live January 2nd, 8 p.m. Tuesday night.
That's right. So this Tuesday night, make sure you check it out. And of course, if you are watching on the replay, please make to the comments because we do want to hear your thoughts. So on anything we talked about, what's your thoughts on MJF? What's going on with that? What was your thoughts on the Devil reveal? What was your thoughts on a whole on the matches? What was your favorite matches and everything else from AEW's World's End pay-per-view? So this is the last time officially that we are talking to the people live and even on replay in the year 2023. So we would like to take this opportunity to say thank you for joining us in the year 2023. For those of you who have been along and have been on the ride as NI Wrestling is kicked off with Wrestling Night Live and some of the pre-shows and post-shows, we promise you there's more on the way. For those of you who are joining for the first time or just jumping on, that is fine because we are just starting this journey and the journey is only going to get better. We have a great video that we'll be putting out as the first video on Nerd Initiative's YouTube in the year 2024. And that, of course, is with the voice of New Japan Pro Wrestling on the English format. and that would be Walker Stewart. Great talking about Wrestle Kingdom. He also talks about President Tanahashi, and he also talks about how he got into wrestling commentating in New Japan specifically. So you're going to want to check that out. The Velvet Voice of Wrestling is awesome, and we're hoping that he did say he'd come back. So we're hoping to have him as a regular guest to talk New Japan and independent pro wrestling. And hint, hint, there's going to be more New Japan and independent pro wrestling as well as more about news and updates of AEW, WWE, the indies like Game Changer Wrestling, and so much more right here on NI Wrestling. So make sure you are subscribed to the Nerd Initiative YouTube channel, amongst other things, and you're following all the links and everything else, because you're going to want to be a part of this revolution of calling things right down the middle and pop culture positivity. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're hearing this before the new year, have a safe and happy new year.
Yes.
And we will see you on the other side in 2024. The first Wrestling Night Live of 2024 will be coming up this upcoming Thursday, where we will be talking Wrestle Kingdom. We will be talking about the ballots for the Brodies, and we'll be talking about wrestling news from around the not the internet, but the world of pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for hearing our talk about the AEW Worlds End. And for myself and Ken M, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and most importantly, later, wrestling fans.